We're dealing with uncertainty constantly, every single day. From these tiny little mix-ups to huge, complex problems, the world is, well, it's rarely just black and white. But what if I told you there was a way to navigate that gray area? A tool that helps us make smarter, more accurate guesses, even when we don't have all the facts. Well, there is, and we're about to explore exactly how it works. Just think about the speech-to-text on your phone, right? It is constantly trying to figure things out with imprecise information. There's background noise, maybe you mumbled. It can never be 100% certain what you just said. So was that a nut or was it a sneeze? This kind of ambiguity, it's literally everywhere, and it's the perfect little example of the kind of uncertainty we're trying to solve. So what's the best tool we have for dealing with all this messiness? It's probability. You could even say it's probably the best way. Yeah, I know. But seriously, it's the foundation for how we and more how artificial intelligence makes sense of a world that doesn't always give us clear answers. And that brings us to the big question for this explainer. How can one simple piece of information completely flip our understanding of a situation on its head? How does a single clue take what was a wild guess and turn it into a really confident prediction? Well, let's dive in and find out. Okay, so to wrap our heads around this, let's set up a little thought experiment. An imaginary lottery. Picture this. We're going to pick one person completely at random from the entire population of all the Nordic countries. We're talking about 26 million people here. And our job, it's just to guess where the winner is from. So without any other information to go on, our best guess has to be based on one thing: population. And if you look at the data, one country has a huge advantage. Sweden, with its 9.6 million people, just towers over its neighbors. So right off the bat, our money should be on a Swede. And if we put that into numbers, Sweden has almost a 37% chance of having the winner. I mean, that is a massive lead over Denmark, Finland, and Norway. They're all kind of hanging out around 20%. And poor Iceland, with its much smaller population, is way down there at just 1.2%. So at this point, it feels like a total slam dunk for Sweden, right? But what if we get a clue? What if a single new piece of information about our mystery winner comes to light? Let's see how one little fact can change absolutely everything. Okay, here it is. This is all we're told. The winner is a professional fisher. Now, that might not seem like much, but trust me, this clue is a complete game changer. So I want you to take a second and really think about this. With this new fact, does Sweden still feel like the right answer? Or has your guess shifted? Who do you think is the most likely winner now? Okay, you ready for this? The answer is Norway. And not just by a little bit. The probability of the winner being Norwegian just skyrocketed from less than 20% to over 53%. Our initial favorite, Sweden, has totally plummeted. That is a massive shift. So what on earth just happened? Well, the secret is all in the data. See, while Sweden has the biggest population overall, it turns out Norway has by far the most professional fishers, over 11,000 of them. So here's the crucial point. Our lottery isn't drawing from 26 million people anymore. Nope. It's now drawing from a much smaller pool of about 21,711 fishers. And in that pool, Norway is the undisputed giant. So this process we just went through, updating our beliefs, right? Moving from that initial guess based on population to our new, way more accurate guess based on the clue, that's not just a cool party trick. It's a really fundamental concept in logic and statistics. It has a name, and it's called conditional probability. It's just the probability of one thing happening given that another thing is already true. For our lottery, we calculated the probability that the winner was from a certain country, given that we knew for a fact the winner is a fisher. We just updated our beliefs with new evidence. That's all it is. So let's look at these new odds. Norway is now the overwhelming favorite at 53.5%. And would you look at Iceland? It jumped from just over 1% all the way up to 17.5%. Why? Because it has a ton of fishers for its small population. And meanwhile, Sweden, poor Sweden, has crashed down to just 8%. The whole picture has been completely redrawn. Okay, a fun lottery puzzle, sure. But why should you actually care about this? Well, because this exact same logic is humming away at the heart of some of the most powerful technology that we use every single day. And the thinking process here is actually super simple. First, you start with an initial belief. What's your best guess before you know anything new? For us, that was the winner is probably Swedish. Then, you get new evidence, the clue that the winner is a fisher. And finally, you use that evidence to calculate a new updated belief. That's it. It's this simple, powerful loop for reasoning when you're uncertain. And believe it or not, this is exactly how AI reasons. When your phone is trying to decide if you said cashew or a chew, it's running a conditional probability calculation. It's asking, what's the probability you said cashew given the sound waves it just heard? And what's the probability you said a chew given those exact same sound waves? Then it just picks the one with the higher probability. It's our Nordic lottery, but with sounds instead of fishers. So, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. We figured out the probability that the winner is Norwegian given they're a fisher. But that is not the same question as asking what's the probability that a random Norwegian is a fisher. The two questions sound really similar, but their answers are completely different. It's a really subtle but super important distinction, and it shows you just how precise and powerful this way of thinking really is.